Intro music. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and we got the man that's always heard and never seen, Skeens.
What up?
A.K.A. the Wizard of Oz.
That is I.
He is I am him. Slim with the tilted brim. Anyway, welcome back, y'all. It's been a long time. We should have left you without a dope episode to listen to. But it's been about 3 weeks, I think, something like that, since our last episode. So had a few things going on and just getting things lined back up. But
election and all the other.
Yeah. We will have an election episode coming soon. With our unofficial third host, Kai Phoenix.
Yes,
will be on. Also, man, I got some dope interviews lined up with a number of folks. Some beautiful young ladies that I know got some wonderful stories to share. I got another homie that is a coach, a teacher, educator, a husband, a father, TJ Void. He will be on soon. He's also an author of children's books. He's got a second one coming out. So we got all this stuff that's coming. Plenty and tons of content. But again, we appreciate y'all support. We do need you guys with the views, the likes, the comments is what gets us moved up in the YouTube space and with as far as the algorithms and all that kind of stuff is concerned. So again, if y'all want to support the movement financially, you can go to our Cash App at HDWGH. Again, that's for the acronym for How Did We Get Here. And you can support us there as well. So again, how did we get here? It's two cousins, like brothers that are talking any and everything in the process, man. But we send love, peace, and blessings to all of you. Again, as we're still in the age of the Rona, here in Texas, numbers are climbing. Numbers are climbing elsewhere as well, man. But just anybody that's been challenged by the disease or the virus, anybody that's lost someone, again, we send our honest prayers, our love to you guys. So, stay safe. Don't be so politically aligned that you won't wear a mask when you out and about, and keep that joint pinched up over your nose, all that kind of stuff, man. So, man, we just excited for this episode. Like I said, we'll do some election talk later, but what Skeens and I wanted to talk about, man, is really just have and we're going to continue to have this conversation, because a part of what we're trying to do again with this show is have open and honest dialogue, and then again, as men, hold each other, ourselves and one another accountable. You know what I mean? And us being hip hop heads, a lot of what we've seen in that platform, in the culture, hasn't been positive as of late, not at all. And I think it's time that, and Skeens and I have discussed this before, but he and I were talking offline about it, and it's just, I think it's something that we're going to continue to have the conversation about until we can make that change of how we're moving in the culture of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And something that I was thinking about. And matter of fact, it was Kai that I saw posted it, and I screenshot it to myself so I could remember it. Mm-hmm. And he was saying rap, and this comes from a guy at Derek Grace Derek Grace 2, on the social media platform. I'm not sure who that is, but Kai had reposted it, and it said rap is not the most dangerous job in the world now, because Jim Jones has said that, and I get his sentiment. But it said what is basically is selling lies exaggerating your lifestyle, celebrating dumb-ish, poisoning children, speaking death for money, hanging with bozos and you're soft, lack of accountability, right? He said, now that ish is a dangerous recipe.
Yep.
And that's unfortunately what we've perpetuated in the hip hop culture, in rap culture for a very long time. And if we go back to the inceptions of rap, I mean, it was hip, a hop, a hippie to the, we trying to have a good time. You had African Bambaataa, those guys, Cool Herc, you know, it went Run DMC, LL Cool J went to West Coast, you know, had their thing. And I think I would say that the West Coast is really where the street type of rap really took off with NWA, Snoop, some of those people that I may be forgetting that were West Coast rappers and stuff like that. Yeah. But there was a line where, again, hip hop and rap is a window into where black people were and what they were going through in the inner city. But somewhere along the lines, we started to say that, you know, that lifestyle, for a myriad of reasons, that lifestyle became super popular and people were rapping it. And then that caused even more people, because when you're growing up in that environment, you do aspire to be like guys that you see that are getting money, you know, however they hustling to get it. But that, the megaphone, let's just say, was even louder once hip hop became pop culture. Yeah. And then we lost it somewhere of where we were drawing the line between saying this is entertainment and this is real life. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I mean, what do you think, Skeens?
Well, excuse me. I think more of anything, the element of everything that happens has always been there. I mean, if you listen to what was it, hip hop, if
right, Rappers Delight,
they talk about a lot of different things that have always gone on within our community. Right. The issue is there's no balance anymore.
There we go.
So we once had balance for every. You may had NWA, but then on the other hand, you had Public Enemy. So there was always balance with the spectrum. But it goes kind of back. I know some of the conspiracy theorists, they was talking about 1991. Right. When all of the major labels kind of huddled up together and said, hey. Yes. Let's stop pushing this this empowerment. This positive message. Mm-hmm. And let's go more towards the destructive nature. Yes. That a lot of us embody.
Right. So and we're going to partner with private prisons.
Yes. And then that goes to it. Yeah. So it's almost like gambling. The house is going to always win.
Always.
And the reason why I would say the house is going to always win, you break it down and say, hey, I am going to find impoverished people. Yes. And it's predatory because a lot of these people come from these areas where you get shot over $5.
Absolutely.
$100 will make a family's day or a month. An extra $100.
Cats was getting their head knocked off for a few hundred.
So when you start talking about these people these labels are finding these people in these impoverished neighborhoods. Right. I'm going to give you a chance, knowing I know what your message is. I know what your agenda is, as well as I, as part of the A&R and all of the other heads of the label, I'm going to help you push a certain agenda. Right. So even though you may come from the hood, you may be a street guy, you may want to speak on something different. Look how Common has evolved and so on and so forth. Yeah. So you may have some guys who've been in these different environments. They may want to talk about something different, but the label is telling you, hey, for the views, we got to push this. Yep. So I'm directing the narrative, which is going to perpetuate the worst stereotypes about us. And then I'm going to use tons of marketing dollars. So no matter how smart a lot of us think we are, these people have billions of dollars. Yes. So I'm going to spend billions of dollars to push this message. which I know is to the detriment of your community. But on the other end, I have ownership of the prison system in the prison system. So you have about 6 labels. I pulled it up earlier that have ownership within the prison system. So it's a fixed fight. So you have Universal.
Yep.
Has stock. Sony.
Yep.
Warner Brother.
Yep.
Even Disney has stock in the prison system. So I'm gonna find certain artists. I may have an artist that's more talented, that may have other messages that may be a little bit more diverse. But I'm not gonna push that guy because that guy is not really gonna help my bottom line. So my bottom line allows me to eat on both ends.
Right.
So it's a fixed fight.
House always wins.
Yes, I'm gonna find someone who I know is gonna push this narrative.
Yep.
I'm gonna put money in your pocket to help motivate you to continue to push this narrative.
Right.
And you, and part of our culture, we are we are a follower society.
Indeed.
Which we love celebrity.
Infatuated.
Yes, we love celebrity. And we talk about, you can in the show how messed up we are in our principles, that you can find a homeless person out on the street. That homeless person go to a restaurant and ask for a meal or ask for a piece of bread. Hey, get garlic bread.
Yep.
They threaten the guy, tell him I'm gonna call the police on him. You want to jump on him, tell me he a bomb, further degrade this man or woman, whoever that may be.
Let a noteworthy person come.
Let Michael Jordan walk in that same restaurant. You will give Michael Jordan everything that he wants for free. Now this man can buy your restaurant.
Yep.
I am more willing because I look up to Michael Jordan. I want to be able to tell these stories that Michael Jordan came into my restaurant instead of being a better human or being a better person. Say I looked out and helped someone in need. Am I my brother's keeper?
Indeed.
So that becomes a lot of our issues. We champion celebrities. There's a reason, even in everything that we do. There's a reason why we talk about it within our culture. One of the good and bad of the hip hop industry. Our culture moves everything.
Everything.
So when we talk about celebrities, hey, when celebrities talk about, hey, buy this Louis Vuitton belt, guess what? Everyone want to be like this celebrity, and you're gonna go in debt to buy this belt.
Yep.
Or you have these strippers that got the shots. Hey,
yep.
I'm gonna spend however many G's for the shot. Nah, hey, we all appreciate the view, but at the same time, do what's best for you. Don't put yourself in debt or harm your body. And we've had different cases of some of these women went to black market locations, and women have put or people have put cement in women's butt.
I was just talking to one of my little sisters yesterday about this.
But part of the continuation of the trick of the culture is, who are the women that they only put in the video?
Okay. Say more.
The women that are going to they use these women to further perpetuate the lack of self-esteem. The same way how they use the music.
Right.
So it's a twofold. I'm now going to have these women that's going to have self-esteem issues because you're trying to compare. You got to compare yourself to something that you will never obtain.
Right. And it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then they tell you, hey, you ain't nothing if you ain't got this.
You don't have this. Right.
I mean, I love Puff. Back in the day, some of Puff braggadocious with some, hey, you ain't this if you ain't got that. Look at Master P. It ain't tricking if you got it.
Yep.
Well, we lose a lot of morals, and so now, then you look at the lens that some women may look at a guy and say, hey, oh, well, you ain't got it. You ain't good enough for me. Right. Hence the Birkin bag. If he, conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of those different things make us feel less than. So part of that less than mindset is, I have to find self-worth somehow. So either I gotta buy jewelry that I can't afford, or I gotta steal it from someone. I gotta go kill somebody for some J's just to rep because I'm having ego issues.
Right.
Or I gotta go and go become a scammer
Right.
You know, to perpetuate a lifestyle on the gram or in different. So it's a lot of competition of people who are all feeling less than.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, because I got into a conversation. We had this conversation before. I'm gonna go. I think I got 3 points if I remember, but we had the conversation, the king or queen conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And I got into the same conversation because a family friend we were discussing had sent her a few videos of Kevin Samuels, mm-hmm. to which she had huge critiques to Kev because his delivery and her point was that how could he tell a woman not to call herself a queen? She can't tell a black woman what to call herself, da 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 da. And she gave the example because she's a physician, and she told me that when she was going through the process of becoming a physician, to put her mind in a certain place while she was in medical school, she did these things of getting her coat and professing and doing certain things, calling herself a physician before she got there. My argument to her was that sometimes I'm not against saying king, queen, whatever it is. But I told her, and we went into some biblical reference where she was talking about faith without works is dead. And I said in that same scripture, the key word is without work. Often we are wanting to have the status symbols and be considered these things without doing any work to get that. You know what I'm saying? Number two, Skeens, I think that, even after the WAP, that controversy and that stuff came out, some of the sentiments, and even at one point I was thinking, we heard worse or heard things similar when we were coming up in the game and listening to hip hop, which is true. But at what point, as we evolve, are we saying that although we have heard worse or to that level before, was it right? Yeah. Can we be honest that some of these things that we've perpetuated, and it makes me think about that Jay song, Ignorant Ish. And in there, he says a number of things, but he talks about that it's only entertainment. Well, you know what I'm saying? But somewhere along the lines, I think that we have to have a reckoning. And as we talk about, one of our key points that we talk about on our platform is being intentional. And if we're intentional about the evolution and betterment of the community, I think we have to be mindful about what we're doing and putting in the music.
Well, you also got to think only in the hip hop genre, right? We have to be who we say we are.
Right.
Only in hip hop.
Yes.
In R&B,
country music,
right. So on and so forth.
Yep. You're
not held to that same
standard
of you must be who you are.
And I have to admit, Skeens, we were coming up. That was one of the things. Man, such and such so real. He really be doing that.
Well, the thing is, there were a lot of people that really did
absolutely
what they did. But two things. One, we had OGs, which we say has
right.
Rest in peace. That the OG is gone.
Yes.
It's like the third verse in a rap song.
Yes.
Rap song is gone.
Yes. OGs are gone.
But also, we also had the mindset that we realized that it was entertainment.
I never had a problem. I
didn't watch Rambo, and next thing you know, I went to go shoot up the whole city.
No, I knew it was entertainment. But for some reason in this culture, we decided that, again, I had to be perpetuating this in order to sell these records. And then that takes me into the other thought that I had. And there's a lot of things that he says I do and I don't agree with. But Jason Whitlock was talking he had a piece, about 45-minute piece that he did. And what he was saying is that oftentimes things that we consider black culture have a negative with it. Number one, right? So we're perpetuating these negative stereotypes, right? Yeah. And we're saying that by me perpetuating this is a sign and a symbol that I'm real. But, oh, by the way, on the flip side of it, the culture that you have when you look at the ownership of it, the higher ups, the Sonys, the Warners, so on and so forth. You don't own it.
Exactly. That's what I'm about to say. So basically,
they're creating it for you.
Correct. So I'm fake. Well, I have this grandiose mindset that I control the culture.
Right, which you don't.
Yeah. So the culture that we are upholding and saying that we have to be real in these different status and things like that was never really meant for us.
No.
And we're further perpetuating and having these interactions and telling people you got to live by a standard that it was really for our detriment.
Yes.
Now, like I said, I understand that, being from the hood, a lot of stories resonate.
Yes.
With a lot of us. But
who doesn't love a good story?
But also within the story, you have to be able to, that was another thing that's kind of lost. And you still see a few people. There's a dichotomy within those stories.
Right. Absolutely.
So
the great thing about stories is the arc.
Yeah. So you got to be able to understand the thrills, but you also got to understand that there's no happy ending with the street.
There you go. Right.
The streets are undefeated. Now we could say Jay survived and became a billionaire.
Right.
It's a few people,
yeah.
But those are outliers.
Yes, that's not the norm at all.
Majority of the guys in the street, it doesn't work out. So even when you start talking about, hey, I made $10,000 this weekend. Okay, when you start breaking it down, when they start doing the real math,
right,
that $10,000 really is not that much because you're on call 24/7.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Because one of those part of that 24/7 is looking over your shoulder
all the time.
I can't trust anyone. I can't even trust my man
because I never know. Yeah,
that's
one thing. Like watching Power and The Sopranos and other movies show you. You know what I'm saying?
So you think about the downtime.
Right.
I got this money, but I'm never happy. Think about all of the mental anguish, all the
anxiety, depression,
paranoia. So even though you have this $10,000, right?
Yeah.
Within that $10,000, you're actually paying for all the debt that you're having to deal with, whether you physically handed it out or not. It's coming from that stack.
Yep, it's coming out of there. Little by little, it's coming out of there. Absolutely. Yep.
So you start growing, you start getting older early.
That's it.
You die of stress and so on and so forth. You lose friends. You lose family members. So even all that, once again, out of that stack. You have to also account for every death that happens. They come out of that stack.
All of that comes out of there. Yeah.
Well, I gotta go get some get back. That's coming from that stack. So at the end of the day, you're actually making less than minimum wage when you really do the real number. And there are studies out there for I know there are people that don't believe it. There are studies that show when you do the real numbers, you're making less than minimum wage. So really, at the end of the day, you're doing it for the look.
It's absolutely for the look. We always talk about that. You made me think about.
I got friends. I have friends that come from very nice homes that wanted to get in the streets
for nothing.
What?
For no reason. And it made me think of that Mike Epps stand up. Man, I'm telling you, man, they kicked the door in. Man, I had 50,000, 100,000. Man, like how come you ain't got no money in your book? They took everything. They took everything. So you have that guy to be talking all that stuff, and then you guys have seen it. People that have lived, and you'll see it in a myriad of things, whether it's running the street, as they say, whether it was, people that have had substance abuse, alcohol, drug issues, and you'll see them and you're like, man, so-and-so has aged, or man, I seen so-and-so the other day. They look back. It's because, as Skeens is talking about, that stuff has been coming out of that account.
There's a currency that you have to pay.
There's a currency to all of it. And that's what we have to recognize with our people. Again, being intentional about being, again, accountable a certain way. And if we're trying to build a certain community, these are some of the things that we have to do. And as you talked about, Jay, 50, Master P, Yo Gotti, Jeezy. These guys, they in your mind, guys. It tricks you, Boosie. It tricks you to thinking that because I see them on social media that this is prevalent, but it is not. These are outliers. And the thing about that, we get trapped in with stories, whether it's a love story, whether it's a crime, whether it's a rom-com, if it's a comedy, all stories have arcs. Yeah. And so there's the rise, and then there's the fall. And then there's always the story. You have to have a reckoning in there.
And then like you talking about Boosie. Boosie made a great point. He said, when you're down and out, nobody trusts you.
Right.
But when you got bread, it seems like everyone loves you.
Right.
And this talks, and that further goes into the point of the faking it till you make it type of mindset. Right. Which people are having anxieties and killing themselves because of social media, because social media is a lie for the most part.
Absolutely.
I got to look this part, but now people don't understand that there's an anxiety both sides. There's an anxiety of the person who's taking that picture that looks the part. Right. And part of the anxiety is not, as he's talking about, is not becoming number one, it's staying there.
There you go.
So those people have an anxiety and depression that they're dealing with, trying to maintain that look, trying to make sure they always look perfect at all times so you don't have anything to hate on them about. Right. But then on the other end, you have the viewer. That has this issue and a lack of self-worth, or a build-up in anxiety of trying to compete with this person that they see in this photo, not knowing what all that person did to look that way in that photo. Absolutely. Between the airbrushing, all of the augmentation of the body, and so on and so forth. Yes. And then let's go further, man. Look here. I ain't seen Black Lives Matter nowhere. We all the people get shot right now.
Let's go there.
Let's talk about it.
Let's go there. Now let's first do this. Who in the last 3 weeks, Skeens? 2 weeks?
In the last week, there's been about 5 rappers that got shot. I have yet to see or hear. Right. I'm not Black Lives Matter. I have yet to hear Al Sharpton. A lot of the.
I haven't seen Tamika Mallory. I haven't seen My Son.
Well, and usually My Son, they always on the front line. Right. So I give them that because they out there marching it all the time.
I'm just saying.
But because I know my son, in the mix a lot. But we're talking about the quote unquote people that are making a living off championing or walking and being in the forefront of controversial issues. Okay. As long as there's cameras involved.
Right. It's the look again.
We're talking about the real work. I haven't seen anybody. Yeah. Now, when things will happen, George Floyd died and things like that. We had Black Lives Matter painted on streets and stuff like that. Right. I'm not saying anybody talking about, hey, let's get some of these dudes have some sit downs before we continue to have bodies drop, because there's going to continue to be bodies. Yes. Let's talk. I mean, we just got to be honest. It's gonna. There's a reckoning. Whenever you kill one of mine, I got to do the same thing to you, and it's a continuous cycle of destruction. But then, yet and still, we'll talk about how we've been held down. Part of our we can't raise up until we stop holding each other down. We talk about how Meek Mill had the tweet the other day when he was talking about, hey, I want to put a lot of the rappers in Philly on a lot of the main guys, but first thing y'all gotta do is y'all gotta quit leave these bodies behind. Y'all gotta quit beefing. A lot of y'all, the main guys out here beefing. Then he got backlash. Mm-hmm. Hold on. So you're giving this, and is reminiscent of Ice Cube. Mm-hmm. I want to do something for you.
Positive. And all people got, so again.
But you want to talk about me for wanting you to do better. Now, people forget, me got a felon. Yeah. I can't hang around these people. He just cleaned his life up. You want me to double back and make a bad investment, spend money on someone who's still in the streets when I know the money I'm spending is going to go to waste. Why? Because you're still warring. Mm-hmm. So either A, as we talk about, you're going to die, or you're going to jail.
Yep.
That's part of it. There's no happy endings. There's no Disney fairy tales in the streets.
Yep. And here's the thing, guys. So one of the things that we talk about doing is once you reach a certain position, is bringing people up with you.
Yeah.
So Meek has, again, he's doing his criminal justice reform, and he's seeing things going on in the streets of Philadelphia. So he's like, hey, I'm in a position where I can put cats on and give them deals. Guys, what I typically do when things like this come out, I will go and look at certain posts, and I read usually more, but I at least always tell Skeens I read at least 100 comments so I can get a good idea of what the vibe or what people are saying. And there's so many people like, F Meek, he went on this before, he ain't never put no cats on before, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Again, people won't let you live from what your past was to who you're trying to evolve and be now. People won't let you evolve. Yeah. And in this culture, again, like we're talking about, it's worth reiterating, we're perpetuating negative stereotypes by killing one another. Yep. And I don't want to hear that people kill by proximity. No, we off that. We're off of that. And, oh, by the way, if we are these elevated people as Skeens is talking about, if we are these kings and queens, as I was talking about, we have to be showing the work that we're doing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and we can't keep saying that, well, it's because of these conditions or different things, which we understand is a part of the equation. We understand that, y'all. We're not naive enough to say that. But it's no different that if I'm walking down a trail and I see Skeens coming out, and he's like, hey, dude, down that trail right there, I just got out of there, man, but there is a grizzly bear down there. There's a grizzly bear down there, Jay. I'm like, bro, I appreciate you. If I still make the choice to walk down there and deal with the grizzly bear, I can't blame him. Yep. That was my choice to do that. We keep walking into this grizzly bear, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Well, make two quick points.
Go ahead.
Talk about that. Number one, they got mad at him for wanting to broker a peace treaty.
Yes.
Now, we are a country who have been at war since what, 9/11?
I mean, really, we can say that we've
always been at war.
But yeah, but I know what you're saying. Go ahead. Yeah,
we've been at war. We've constantly been at war.
Yep.
We talk. A lot of people talk about how we should end these wars. We should never have been in a war in the first place, but it's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, sir.
Let's end the war. We losing too many our soldiers, our sons and daughters.
Yep.
But you're mad that a guy's trying to broker a peace treaty within his community.
Yes.
And when you're within that community, think about it. So who's more detriment to the community? You, who are wanting to perpetuate and want that beef to continue to spill, but you want to cry when one of your loved ones is missing.
Yes.
Or do you want to help him further? To help him stand in the gap with him, say, hey, no matter what side of the city or whatever the country that you may be on, hey, I'm going to do my part to, hey, in my community, help end that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, talk somebody off the ledge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, brother or sister, no, you don't need to do. Hey, we don't need that. Not because we know when you go do that, it's coming back in our neighborhood. They're going to come shoot back in our neighborhood, so someone's going to get lost. But number two is this, right?
Yep.
As we talk about, the trauma that we faced in all this. Got it. Once again, my city is horrible. Look up the stats.
Yes.
But yet and still, right? We know how to turn it on and off when we go to work. Somebody tell me I'm lying. We can turn it off at work. Why? Because there's something that you're gaining from it. So you're telling me that job is more valuable to you than your community. That job that you getting is more valuable than your brother and sister. Because if you act a fool in the neighborhood or in your community, or let's just not say your neighborhood, when you go from your community to another community, a la the thing that was going on there in Atlanta. Those guys with King Von and Quando Rondo, I know those guys may have moved to Atlanta, but you moved from another city where you had these interactions. King Von's known, got several bodies.
Yep. Yes.
In Chicago and in Georgia.
Yep.
So you had those. So let's kill the proximity conversation. Yes, it does matter.
Yep.
But your proximity was in Chicago. You had these issues.
Yep.
You moved to Atlanta. You still have these issues. That's a lot of mileage in proximity.
Yep.
You move from one area to the next, and you still have those same things. As I tell my sister, not everybody gonna tell the same lie about you.
Same lie. Yep.
So you go from one area, you go to another, you still have those same issues going on.
Yep.
So if we start talking about, hey, they want us to do this and they do that, well, that tells me, one, that you're cognizant, because you know that there's a fixed fight.
Boom.
You're cognizant of it.
You're aware.
So when you're aware, we can't continue and lean on what they want us to do to each other as a crutch. Now, we do know it's a fixed fight. There's a lot of stats. We can talk about that, and we will go over a lot of stuff. There's a fixed fight.
Hey,
but do my part. How about I do my part? Because the first thing is I must stop the way I'm going to treat you.
Absolutely. It starts with me.
So I cannot control what any and everyone else does.
Yep.
But I can stop or control myself. Now, if one by one we start taking that stance of, I'm going to do my part to elevate minds.
So let's look at this real quick. So to piggyback off what you're saying, Skeens, again, y'all, intentional about what we're doing. Intention, again, about mending these relationships, y'all. That's what we're always talking about. And this is y'all, everything in life is going to go back to relationships. And Skeens and I were off. Everything is about a relationship. And this is what we're talking about, the relationship that we have with one another. But I like in what you're saying is, in the movies y'all see of when you got the bad guy or the girl that's trying to set somebody up, and it's, hey, would you mind going to the kitchen and getting, oh, sure, I'll get us some drinks, or, however they do it, and then they put something in the drink. We're sitting there, and I'm like, hey, man, it's something that somebody put something in the drink, and you like, oh, I know, and you drink it anyway. Yeah. You're aware, right? So let's look at this real quick, Skeens. And this is just something I pulled real quick. I don't even know how accurate this is, but Chinks Drugs, May 17, 2015, shot and killed, New York. He was 31 years old. His own community. Bankroll Fresh, March 4th, 2016. He was only 28 years old. Shot and killed in Atlanta, Georgia. There's a guy named 3-2. I don't know who that is. November 2016, Houston, Texas. Shot and killed. He was 44. Triple X, Tentacion. June 18, 2018. He was only 20 years old. Yep. Shot and killed.
Once again, in your community.
Jimmy Wopo. I don't know who that is. June 18th, 2018. He was from Pittsburgh. He was shot and killed. He's only 21 years old. Smoke Dog. June 30th, 2018. Only 21 years old. Toronto, Canada. Shot and killed. Young Greatness, October 29th, 2018, 34 years old, New Orleans, shot and killed. Feis, F-E-I-S, I don't know who that is. January 1st, 2019, 32 years old. Oh, he's from the Netherlands, shot and killed. Kevin Fret, January 10th, 2019. He was in Puerto Rico, shot and killed. These are all rappers, y'all. Nipsey Hussle. March 31st, 2019, only 33 years old.
In his community.
L.A., right outside of his own store.
Trying to uplift his community.
Shot and killed. Pop Smoke, February 19th, 2020, Los Angeles, California. Shot and killed. Huey, June 25th, 2020, only 31 years old. He was in Missouri. Shot and killed. King Von, November 6th, 2020, only 26 years old, Atlanta, Georgia, shot and killed. Then we got my man, the kid, what's his name? He's not on here because that just happened. Mo 3
in Dallas,
shot and killed
on 35 in broad daylight.
Shot and killed.
Do you know how busy 35 is in Dallas?
Bruh, in Dallas?
In broad daylight.
Shot and killed.
On 35.
Shot and killed, y'all.
But, a lot of that is, so we talk about in the community.
Let's press pause. And just, again, recently, Boosie in Houston, shot in the leg.
Going to Mo 3
Benny
out there, showing respects.
Benny the Butcher, Dallas.
Well, Dallas,
Houston, shot in the leg.
I'm out of Walmart.
Again, y'all, come on.
But so several things we should talk about, right? One, I think as we talk about, everyone in the hood has PTSD.
Yeah, absolutely.
You said that for from the longest.
Yep.
Now I think it is now being echoed into as a norm.
Yeah.
But when these labels, which they won't do it because, as we talk about it, it affects their bottom line.
There you go.
A lot of these guys need, one, therapy. There should be some form of therapy within every one of these labels for every artist. There also needs to be some form of life coaching. Mm-hmm. Like the transition. As Jay-Z even talked about with being a Siegel. I'm trying to
give you some game so you can make the transition from the street to the fame.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, long term, there needs to be some form of transition for these guys. But as we talk about, they won't, because a lot of labels make more money off guys when you're dead. You're worth more when you're dead. A lot of people don't realize that, but look at people's catalog.
Posthumously, yes.
Your stats, your streams, your sales, and all
that blow up.
Go through the roof once you die.
Yep.
But also within these different cliques, like with King Von and the Quando Rondo, and the whole little setup was, you had two rappers that have an issue.
Yep.
But these guys have made it, right? Mm-hmm. You've made it through the terrains of the hood and all that it entails. Mm-hmm. You should be on the other side.
Yes.
But yet and still, you're still interacting and doing these hood. Now, I'm not saying leave your people, because we all got people there. But I'm saying, as W. Du Bois talked about, the talented 10.
Okay, yes.
Which in terms, you have the 10% who make it, our best 10, reach the mountaintop and reach down and pull the 90% up.
There you go.
That's part of it.
Yep.
Once you make it, your job is, now I do know they hire a lot of guys, but some guys hire people and they click one for validation. Mm-hmm. Because even if you're not really who you were like 6ix9ine, you're going to hire real street cats around you. So you're going to put money in their pocket for protection and for credibility.
Right.
So it's different than that. But we're talking about, I've made it. Now my job is to remove everyone in my community from that being in that environment.
Right.
So what can I do to help you elevate, become a better person, to not continue to live that lifestyle?
Right.
Do I need to get you trained? Oh, okay, hey, my guy, let me get you some training so you become a certified mechanic.
Whatever it is.
Or hey, let me get you out of here that you own my homegirl so she can own her own boutique.
Go ahead.
Or hey, let me my brother, a couple of my dudes, you drug dealers, but you good to business mindset. Hey, let's start a trucking company. Get you. Hey, you've been transporting the goods back and forth anyway.
Yeah, let's
so
do
you
it
got
legal.
highways.
Let's do it legal.
Let's do it legal.
Yep.
So let's find different ways to help elevate these people and get them out of that environment, out of that mind state, doing the same old. Because a lot of time when you hire these people, you bring them along, and their role is to be your shooter or to be this and that. When that person take that shot, when he go shoot somebody for you, you have destroyed his family.
It's coming from that account.
Yep.
It's coming
because
from
if he has kids, guess what? That kid has no father anymore. So now you're further making women be single mothers, whether they want to or not. We know that every kid needs their father, regardless of who says what.
They need it.
They need their father.
Yep.
Look at the studies.
Yep.
So you have this kid that's growing up, no father. Mother now have to work 2 or 3 jobs to support you. Yep. So guess what? This kid is raising himself up.
She's not at home.
Yes. So
it's coming from the account.
And guess who's raising the kid? The streets.
The streets raised me. The streets raised me.
So I'm now in the streets doing what I shouldn't be doing what my parent that passed was doing.
Yep.
Because that's all I'm being taught, because I have no leadership, no guidance of teaching me anything other, because a real OG is going to tell you, youngin, get out these streets.
Right.
Hey, here a couple dollars, go do something. Hey, go holler at the local barber. Hey, my man, I don't want him in the streets. Hey, can he come in here just sweep some hair, sweep up the hair?
Yeah.
I'll pay you to let him sweep up hair. You ain't got to give him nothing.
Right.
I'll pay you to let him be an apprentice and stay out these streets.
Yep.
We don't have those. We're not looking at those kind of OGs. It's a few and far between. Not saying there's none, but the percentage is very limited. Now, as we talk, also, right, as we talk about trauma, let's talk about our trauma, and as we talk about, hey, our community has been suffering. We've been going through all these different things. Why is it that our forefathers that had to endure segregation, slavery, post-slavery, segregation, Jim Crow,
talk about it,
getting lynched and so on and so forth, why did it seem that those people had more sense of community than we do? Now we talk about trauma. Who's more traumatized? Us, which there's a pretty decent percentage of us that's never really had to endure anything.
Yes.
The most that you've ever had to endure is being somebody followed you in the store.
Right.
I've had it happen.
Yes. So,
but these people got lynched. They got hoses. They got dogs sicked on. They got jumped on for walking out being out in the dark. But they had more sense of community. Yes. Now, who's more traumatized?
Yes.
So what does that tell us? That they had an accountability.
Yes.
For one another.
Yep.
They had an accountability for the community, because if I did wrong, hey, my neighbor would see me do wrong, and my neighbor would get on my head.
Yep.
And then they would tell my parents.
Now we'll be trying to check the neighbor.
And now if your neighbor says anything, don't say nothing to my kid. Well, I shouldn't have to tell your kid to do right. That's what your job as a parent is. Just because you can have kids don't mean that you are a parent.
You know what, Skeens? Is like our moral compass right now is like we're in the Bermuda Triangle. You know, when they were showing on them shows, and you look at a compass in the Bermuda Triangle, and you don't know which way is up, which way is left, right, east, west.
If your neighbor say your kid doing wrong, instead of saying, hey, I appreciate you.
Yeah, because man, looking out, man. Yep.
You're going to do what they say. Yes. One way or another.
Yes.
Whether you do it out here.
Yep.
Or do it in there.
And to go back to I was just looking at this real quick, our infatuation with celebrity, right? I would venture to say one of the most famous black women in America or in history is Michelle Obama. Right? Would you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just looking at Michelle Obama's Instagram. And it's nothing to sneeze at, but she has 44.1 million followers. This is the ex-first lady of the United States of America. Right? Whether you agree or disagree with Obama's Michelle, I would say that Obama definitely, as far as upholding himself as presidential, well-spoken, educated, beautiful family, etc., etc. Right? We can agree on that. Cardi B has 78.1 million followers.
Sounds about right.
Kim Kardashian has 191 million followers. This is what Skeens is talking about. Our infatuation with the pretend, makeup, glam squatted, airbrushed, injected lifestyle of celebrities versus what we really got to do out here that's real life. I was just talking to one of our little sisters. She's beautiful. I might be getting the age wrong. She's 26, 27 years old. And I saw a post, and sometimes I'll be telling, girl, I'll be seeing you post outlandish stuff, but I'll be on you. So I'm looking, I see something. It was like a little post she had of like two females laid in the bed, like they're on their stomachs and they're like touching hands. And it's like they just had plastic surgeries, like me and my girl after we get our bodies done. So I reached out to her. I said, "You getting your body done?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not getting no real plastic surgery. I'm getting, fat transfer and this, that, and the third. And it's for me though. It's not for nobody else." And I had to say, listen. And again, I try to be as real as possible. I always tell y'all, one of the things I have to check with myself is my ego. Now, when I was on my workout tip, Skeens, I like to work out. But again, if I post a shirt, a photo with showing the abs or something like that, or showing a tricep shot or something like that, there's a part of your ego that's looking for validation from somebody else. I have to be honest and real about that, right? That's why I had to go through the process of when I decided where I'm not working out that many times a week. When people was coming up like, "Dang, man, what happened to you?" I'm like, my ego's up. I'm perfectly fine. I had to work out like that to be, but if not, I'm going to be a slim dude. 5'6". That's me. I love me though. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be honest that this external validation that we look for, we got to be, as me and Skeens talked about at the beginning of the quarantine, we got to be doing the work internally. Bishop used to always tell us, why do they call it Enjoy? Because it's an inside job. Cat Williams says called self-esteem. How can I make you feel better about you? It's called self-esteem. And with this esteem that we have, when you've done that work of what's going on in here and reconciling all of that stuff, dealing with the PTSD, another homie hit me up the other day, man. Him and his chick going through it. She refuses to do the work. He wants to do the work. Let's go sit down. Let's go. She refuses. So we can never heal or get better if we don't do that work. Once we heal and get better, we can then pass on that our healed selves can better deal with the people around us in these relationships. But again, we have to be intentional about our business.
And then if you don't want to do the work, not just that person, but in general,
right?
We can't refuse to do the work.
Yes.
But still want to maintain the right to point fingers.
Right. You see what I'm saying? We can't do it. You can't have it both ways. You can't. We have to, again, Skeens, I ain't going to say nothing that y'all never heard, but hopefully coming from us, it'll get down. But we have to be the change that we want to see. We can't require, again, guys, just think about it. We are requiring people outside of us to treat us better than we treat ourselves inside.
Dr. Phil, we train people how to treat us.
Absolutely. You train people how to treat you.
Dr.
If not, you're like a banana without the peel.
Dr. Common Sense.
You're a shoe without the laces.
But I had to give him his props for that one.
It's real. It's real. So it's no different than Skeens is my man. literally was right there outside the stomach before I came out. He's my guy. The way that I can't expect if somebody to treat me. You see what I'm saying? He's my brother. We've built this bond and been intentional about our relationship and our care for one another. He's the godfather to both of my children. I trust him with anything. But we did, even people, oh man, cause y'all cousins, man. We did the work of being, again, genuine towards one another. We built that. We worked to build what we have. Again, this dude can have anything I got, anything he got, I have.
Absolutely.
We have to be the same way. Y'all, if y'all could know some of the conversations that me and my man have, there's nothing that if he has an idea of business or anything like that, the first thing he does is hit me on this thing, and he's sending it to me. If I have an idea, I'm sending it to him, because I'm never going to do what we have to do and how we look at each other. I can never feel that I've reached my potential of who I'm supposed to be in this life for however long we're going to be here if Skeens doesn't come up. We as a culture and as a people, if we don't all come up, we haven't arrived. Mm-hmm. As he was talking about, W.B. Du Bois, the talented 10. I don't want to just stay in the 10. I want to make that 10 to 20, that 20 or 40, that 40 or 80, and so on and so forth. The Bible talks about 60, 40, 60, and 100-fold. So we have to be intentional. We have to change this narrative of reinforcing negative stereotypes in our culture. We're better than that. We're better than that. We are kings and queens. But we have to put in the work and be intentional about what we're doing. And one thing that we cannot do is still perpetuate violence in this community. We have to perpetuate that it's cool to sit down, even when, now, again, I'm not talking about we as men sitting around here as suckers and stuff, but we got to make it cool to say it's cool for me to sit down and have a conversation with my man instead of trying to go upside his head. I remember even back in the day, but man, just shoot the fair one with a cat. I want that off the board. Unless now, if a dude try to put hands on our course, I'm like, hey, hold up, excuse me there, buddy. Sit down at the table. And I got it. But in most of this stuff, Skeens, how much of this death and dying is preventable?
90% easily.
Easily.
A conversation.
A conversation.
I mean, we've seen cats get killed for stepping on somebody's shoes.
Literally. You remember we used to go out, cats would be looking for somebody to bump into them, almost step on their shoe.
I remember years ago, it was a long time ago. I went to, what was it? I think Club Fusion. I'm in line.
Okay. That was way back.
Yeah, a long time ago. So I'm in line behind some dudes.
Yeah.
You know, and one, mentally, some told, don't go out tonight. But I said, hey, right. It's the weekend.
Right.
And I'm behind some dudes. One dude said, hey, man, you talk to his homeboy, man. I'm going to knock somebody out tonight. Mm-hmm. Said, beep, 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 beep.
I remember you telling me this.
My inner thought told me in advance, don't go out tonight. And when I heard that, I said, that was what I needed to hear.
Right.
To tell me that I was right. Go back home.
Right.
Because if you are willing to spend your hard-earned money.
Yes. That you worked all week for.
You're going to waste your time to stand in line.
In line.
With the intent of fighting someone. Hey, my friend, there's a thing called MMA.
Right.
Boxing. We do have the United States
right.
Armed Forces, no matter which branch you want to join in.
Yeah. Take Kung Fu like my son is right now.
There are a lot of other things that you could go do.
Yep.
And one, make money if you're gonna do it.
Yes. And
two, I'm not gonna be with the intent of doing something on the weekend, knowing I get locked up, I'm stuck in this thing for.
Come on, man. Come on.
Until Monday.
Yes, indeed. But like you said, and Zoe Williams was talking about this. So much healing that we have to do, and
you gotta be willing to heal, though.
You like I say, you have to be willing to do the work. It's not just gonna happen. You know what I mean? And while we do have this, Skeens and I aren't trying to negate that as black people, we have a beautiful, rich, layered, diverse heritage that we come from. Mm-hmm. But it's not just by the mere fact that we come from that those things become us. Mm-hmm. We have to be intentional about what we become and who we are. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So again, our intention with running our mouths on these microphones and on this show is to highlight and trigger these things in our brain of the better that we can be, better than your average. You know what I'm saying? We're not just average people. We're above that. And we can do it, but we have to, A, find value first within ourselves. B, we have to find value within one another.
See, we have to believe.
We have to.
There has to be some form of belief in the possibility, right, as well as belief in yourself that you can overcome.
Right. Right. And here's one thing, man. And I'm gonna drop this book soon, y'all. I think I was gonna call it Straight to the Point Leadership, but I also was thinking about calling it like a play on words, love and leadership. Like you have to love in leading, but you have to be in love with people as well. And here's the thing that we forget, and this is for me. I feel that for me to be the man that God has called me to be, a part of my quote unquote superpower that God has given me is the ability to communicate, the ability to listen, right? And God has given me, with Skeens and I have some of the same superpowers. In the ability to listen, I've developed a skill set of where I can listen without getting tired. And I also can listen without necessarily judging. Right? And a part of loving people, see, a lot of times, again, as we talk about how we reduce ourselves, going back into relationships, reduce our relationships to where instead of appreciating the person as a human being, we reduce ourselves to human doers. And in our love, quote unquote, conditional love of people, we only love them in relationships when they're doing things exactly the way that I want to do, and they're meeting all my parameters and guidelines that I have on them. Mm-hmm. But when you love people, as Skeens can attest to, when people come to us for counsel and advice, you're going to see people in all different shapes, colors, sizes, and forms of what they're working their way out of, mm-hmm, or working their way into in life. And so it's the same thing of how we have to be with one another, showing each other the same grace and mercy that God has shown us. We have to show that same type of intention and that same type of love, that same type of grace and mercy when we're dealing with each other. We can't be so quick to make these quick reactions when we're dealing with each other. Because in order for us to you have to look at it as that I can't get to where I need to be unless I have you. Unless I have her. And if I got her, I'm trying to impart something into him and her to give to her and him and her and her and him and him and her and him. And that's how the 10 reach down and bring the other ones up. Mm-hmm. That's what we have to be striving towards and doing. To close it out as well, hip hop. We gotta reconcile these deficiencies in this culture. We have to. Yep. We have to reconcile these issues in the culture that we are perpetuating something that is really killing us. Yep. It's not figurative.
Yeah.
Skeens, I'm gonna let you close this out.
Well, I know you was talking about Derek Grayson also. Now, I know you say you haven't really kept up with him.
Yeah,
he's really good with talking about empowerment.
Yes. So
even he's gonna have a Monopoly game for kids to teach education, empowerment,
yes,
finance. He's got like 2 and 3 year old.
Okay.
So as we talk about,
yeah, I remember you telling me about that. Yeah,
us loving and looking at celebrities and what we do and don't have. Things like that is more of what we need to be championing.
Right.
Empowerment of our household.
Yes.
Quit worrying about what's on the gram, how people
right.
look, or trying to measure yourself up to them.
Right.
Work on being a better you. Work on empowering yourself, your household, your kids, because you may not want your kid to actually be a worker. You want your kids to have better than you. Mm-hmm. And if not your kids, your nieces, nephew, or even some kids in the neighborhood that may not have a father or mother figure, you may want to show them a different way. So teach them how to empower themselves financially, spiritually, the whole holistic approach.
Absolutely.
To be a better person, because as we all heal, if that person heals, I heal, us as a community heal, and we're elevated.
There you go.
At the end.
There you go. Most definitely. So anyway, y'all, what do you think, man? What can we do? You know, what are our solutions? Where do we start? Again, I think that it's always going to start internally within us. And we have to be intentional.
Not complaints. Solutions.
Solutions, not complaints. We got to be intentional. And we got to, again, look at that love and that value that we find in one another. But again, I'm your host, Jay Carter, and my man that is always heard and never seen, Skeens.
Yep.
And this has been another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and love.